Welcome to this season 2 no guest episode where Tish has decided that I have to introduce every single time now, which
Yeah.
just feels like another burden for me to have to handle every single time. I don't know why, but you just seem to give me more and more responsibility with season 2. Is this because I didn't get the deal to be exactly what you wanted?
What do you mean the deal?
Well, I'm bringing you dairy milk and chamomile tea was the agreement to you coming back
Oh.
for season 2, but I disagreed to the volume of dairy milk and we had to reduce it down.
Yeah, that's definitely it, I'm sure.
Damn it. I'll have
I
to
see that
try
we're
and
I see
do
that we're
better.
both
But
yeah, I see we're both wearing white today. I don't
it's
it's so funny. We never planned literally I just said I'm getting on and you got on and we're both wearing white. It was a last minute decision for me,
it,
actually.
yeah, it was a last ditch decision for you. For me, it's purely because for the first time this year, we've actually got probably Texas weather in Manchester. It's
Amazing.
currently,
Congratulations.
well, I say Texas weather. I say that with an asterisk because when I say Texas weather, I'm not talking about 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which I think equates to about 40 degrees Celsius here in the UK. It's
Mm.
currently about high 70s,
Mm.
which is hot for us.
Bit
Because Tish,
frustrating that.
what do you mean it's a bit frustrating? I want to understand the language that you're meaning with this right now,
I
which
mean,
will
if
tie into what we're going to be talking about shortly.
you don't have air cons, I can't imagine how
Yes.
frustrating it is to be in those temperatures without central air. We have that in
Central
Texas.
air.
Yeah, central
Yes, that
air,
that is
heating
that is
air.
that is the annoying thing. Our air conditioning is opening the window and hoping for the best.
Mm,
Is really the way it
I
goes.
remember I
As
remember being there, yeah.
you've mentioned, UK heat hits differently to
Mm, it
heat in
does.
Texas, and
That's
yeah,
true.
I've experienced Texas heat, and it's I found you know what I found it when I was in
Last year,
Dallas
San
last
Antonio.
year. Yeah, because I was
Mhm,
in Dallas and San Antonio, and
right.
I definitely found that after just a couple of days in Dallas, I got really used to
Used
the
to it,
heat very,
yeah.
very quickly. But you try and do that in the UK, you need like 3 weeks to try and get used to this weather
Yeah.
because it's not just the heat during the day, it's the fact your home stays at that temperature, if not higher, through the night, and it's actually colder outside. You feel like just taking a sleeping bag and going laying in the middle of the road because it's just more pleasant. You probably don't even need a sleeping bag, it's
You
that
know what I
pleasant
find so
outside.
interesting about the beginning of this episode is, first of all, in true British fashion, you have immediately taken us into weather talk. And
Absolutely, because that's what's like the top thing of British standards is that we've stopped having rain. Actually, no, I'll tell you something different. The annoying thing that we always have in the UK is, and this really wound me up, I got my car cleaned 2 weeks ago for
mhm,
the first time, and I'm not saying this in like I'm messy or whatever. I live in a apartment complex, so we have like a shared car park. I don't have my own garage or anything like that. So I haven't
mm.
washed my car properly for a while. And this time I decided I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to get it valeted properly. And because
The
we've got
amount
this
of
warm
words that
weather
you're saying
now,
in this story is fascinating, but please continue.
now that we've got this warm weather, it's renowned whenever we get warm weather and it rains, it brings sand from the Sahara
Mm,
because it picks
interesting.
up the sand from the Sahara, and when it rains, that Sahara sand lands in the UK. Now my car is covered in Sahara sand now. After I just got it washed, and
So it
same
happens.
with my parents. I went round to theirs today, and yeah, my dad's car is covered in it as well, and he literally washed it 2 days ago.
Mhm.
So yeah, these are the first world problems that we have in the UK
Well,
all the
actually,
time.
interestingly enough, that story really set us up for what we're going to talk about today. Because as you were telling that story, I was taking notes of all the words that you were saying that our listeners probably are like, what is he talking about? And what does that mean? And we're going to talk about that. But I'm
What
going to
do you
let
call the
you.
Sahara Desert?
No, 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 no. No, no. It's not what I meant. I'm gonna let you sort of position the episode, tell everybody what we're gonna talk about today.
Yeah, so the one of the things that me and Tish have been talking about, obviously, I'm British, if you haven't caught on to that, and Tish is American. I know it's a shock, but it's truth. And specifically, she is a Texan, which makes it even 10 times harder. Um, but one of the things that we've learned through the years that we've known each other is how communication, even though we've got to know each other very well, there are still to this day confusion with the way that we either articulate, how
Mm.
we name certain things, certain phrases that we talk about. And the thing is, it doesn't just come in different versions of the English language, but it also comes when you are in a work environment or a social gathering with people of your same nationality, also misunderstanding what you're referring to. And it's something that we've definitely experienced being neurodivergent, that we think in different ways to our neurotypical counterparts. And we find that what we're communicating isn't being received in the way that we're intending it to. So, wanted to really kick this episode off, just more of a light-hearted bit of fun to start with.
It's about communication, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's I've got a list of here. Obviously, we could go down the route of words, like, you know
Well,
what?
we have done
I'll
that
start.
before.
Yeah, we've done that previously. I'm
How
gonna
about
just go into
valet?
some.
Can we start with valet? Let's go to your story.
Okay,
Valet. You didn't say valet. You said you valeted your car.
valeted. Got it valeted.
And does that mean the same thing that it means in America? What do you mean by
Where you
that?
have somebody that washes the car and also cleans the inside of the car.
Yeah. So what
Yeah, I've had
about
it
when you
valeted.
drop your car off at the hotel?
Oh,
I would
crikey, forgot
say
about, yeah.
I'm gonna valet my car when we get to the hotel. What do you say?
Um, I'm
Do you
I would
say
say
valet?
valet.
So what's the difference
Yeah,
in
valeting. I get my car valeted, and
what
I drop
that
my car off with the valet. So they're two
okay.
different words, valet and valeting,
Are they spelled the
or
same?
valet. So valet is valet,
Mhm.
and tell me how you
And
spell.
valet is valet. Yes, it's the same.
Oh,
And also, I
interesting.
just wanna do a little
Okay,
asterisk side
that's
note, like, this episode, you need to remember Rick, dyslexia, Tisha, ADHD, both neurodivergent. That's gonna come into play, though, because, um, we have to articulate our meaning to each other a lot of times because how we're saying something or the way that we're saying it isn't coming out the way we intend. But then you start looking at linguistics and the spelling of words and the meaning of words and the silent meaning of words, just like I think you've just now the penny dropped on the way that you spell valet and valet. Is that
yeah.
true? The penny dropped. We don't say that in America. The penny dropped.
Yeah, yes, we do call it a valet. I think the problem that I have in the UK is we don't have very many of them. Like
Very many.
valets that you
Okay.
arrive at a hotel and you go drop it off. And the amount of hotel, I mean, I'm probably just going to more lower end budget holidays where they just don't have that service. But I know the times that I've been to the States, it's a lot more prevalent and a lot more
Valet.
obvious
Yeah.
in America when I've been to Florida, New York, and Texas, which are the three main states I've been to.
You
It
also
is
said
it is more obvious there. But yeah,
y-
you said the penny drops, and now you're going to say
the
something
penny
else.
drops. The penny. I'm just like, we're tossing these words out because in America, we don't say the penny drops. You also said garage, which is
Garage.
pronounced differently. You also said car park.
Yep.
We
Car
say
park.
parking lot.
Yes.
You said you went round to theirs, and nobody in America is really gonna understand that. I remember the first time that I heard someone at Wakelet say
Oh
this, it
yeah.
was
I'm just.
Callum.
Hmm.
Callum said this, and I was like, it took me 30 seconds to a minute to even really gather what he was saying and what it meant. But you said, I went round to theirs.
Yes.
Now, I know what that means, but I don't think people in America understand that phrasing. So, do you want to say what that means? And then I'll tell you what we would say.
Well, in context, I mentioned that I went round to my parents. I went round to theirs. So I went to their house.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't know how much more descriptive I can be
Well, I think
on
it's
that.
interesting because there is an assumption you all understand that. For us, I would say so. Let's say, hey, I'm gonna stop by your house today at 12. Hey, I'm gonna come over. I'm gonna come
Yeah,
over
I'm
to your
gonna come
house.
by your house, is what
Or
we say.
come
I'm gonna come
over.
by.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Or I'm gonna go to your house. Let's go to your house.
yeah,
But you don't say it, you say, "Let's go to yours." And I remember
yeah,
I'm like, "What does that mean?" So it's really interesting. And this is what the whole episode is gonna be about. I mean, we
yeah.
could go on, but
Oh,
I'm gonna let you continue with your list.
there's 250,000 words in the English language. I mean, we're not gonna cover every single one in this one
Well,
episode,
our whole
but
point is that you're saying one thing, I'm saying one thing. We're meaning the same thing, but how easily things can get misconstrued or
mhm,
miscommunicated without being open and curious to what the other person is saying.
yes, and that's the important thing is the curiosity is more powerful than the communication.
Mhm.
Because
Mm.
understanding means that we can make sure that the communication is done correctly. So,
Mhm.
I have. Would you like some words or would you like phrases? Now we've done a few words.
Do some phrases.
Do some phrases. Okay, so
Yeah.
I've asked Tish a couple of these already.
Okay.
When I say a couple, I am meaning two. Uh,
Yeah, because a couple could be 3 to 5. Go ahead.
what type of couples do you see?
Never mind, go ahead. You're taking this never mind.
So this, I'm going to give you what the British say, and then I want
Okay,
you to tell me what that translates to for you, and then
okay,
I will
okay,
give
and
what it actually
okay,
means.
okay,
Okay?
okay.
So this one I've already given you to you, but it's a practice run really. I hear what you say.
I'm like, "Oh, good, you understand what I mean."
We actually mean I disagree and do not want to discuss it further.
Wow, that's a loaded phrase right
It's a
there.
very, very loaded
Wow,
phrase.
wow. I think we're getting along. I think you hear what I'm saying, so we're on the same page and we can move on, and
Yeah,
you've
yeah, yeah.
actually
No.
interesting,
I
okay.
I I do hear what you say. I'm just disagreeing with it and I don't want to
But you don't wanna
continue.
say it? Like, why don't you just say, "I hear what you're saying and I disagree, but let's move on."
Well, that's a bit
You're
long. I
j
might as well just say I hear what you say. And
That's interesting. It's
there
a
we
bit
go.
long. So Brits are
Um,
very, concise and short-winded, apparently.
yes. Um, with the greatest respect,
I feel like you're being sarcastic if you say that to me. What does it mean?
it I mean, you're pretty on point. It says, "I think you are an idiot." It's like one of those phrases like, "Okay, let me with the greatest respect, I don't agree with you on that point." It's
You
basically
don't agree with
saying,
me at all, and
you're
you
an
don't even wanna
idiot,
be around
get
me.
out of my face," kind of thing,
Yeah,
in the
interesting,
most British
interesting.
polite way. One
Yeah.
that I don't have on this list, but I know that I used it a couple of times when I was in Dallas, and I know you've had a little bit of confusion about it, and I also know that one of your kids got very confused about it and
What
also
was it?
made someone worry when I went and got a coffee. Seeing somebody, so
Mm,
literally you are meeting them, not for the first time ever, but just interacting, and you say, "Hey, you're all right.
say it again.
Hey, you're all right."
Everybody says that in the UK,
Yeah.
and the first time I heard it, I went like this. If you're listening to the podcast, I was touching my face and my hair and my body. to see if I was okay because I was like, "What do you mean? Am I all right?" "Yeah, of course I am. Can you see me being okay in front of you, or is something happening that I'm not aware of?" And yes, that it throws all of us off. I got really used to it though and
Mm.
started saying it back to you.
Yes, you did. You did. Because for those that are listening who are not from the UK, usually that is like either can be taken two ways
Like,
is,
"Hey, how are you?"
hey, how are you? And if they just say, all right, at the very beginning, is usually just hi.
Done. Mhm.
It doesn't
Mhm.
mean, are you okay? It's more of a hi. And that's
And you
that
don't really
we
mean,
can,
"Am I okay?" You really don't want me to tell you how I'm feeling. Now that is a
no,
universal thing, I think, across the board, and as a neurodivergent, if you say to me, "Hey, are you alright?" I have this feeling to take you literally, and now you want me to express to you if
actually
I am or
express,
not,
yes.
and that is so misleading on American and Brit sides both.
Hmm.
The same thing in America, if I go for a coffee and the barista says, "Hey, how are you?" I'm gonna tell her exactly how I am.
Yeah.
But see, that is the difference. Then you start talking neurodivergent language and how we
Hmm.
take things literal. If
Yeah.
you don't want to know how I am, don't
Don't
ask me.
ask.
Like, I don't understand
But
why we have these silent niceties that they just make no sense to me.
it's the small talk, but it's become such a
Yeah,
common thing in society of, like, you go up to a barista, say, and they immediately go, "Hi, how are you? What would you like to drink?" And you're literally just like, "You just asked me 2 questions that I need to answer right now. I'm
exactly.
great. How are you? I would like this." And you're
Yes.
now halfway into a conversation where I've just answered you, asked you a question, and also answered your other question. Are you gonna, and it can get very, very confusing.
Super
Yeah.
overwhelming for a neurodivergent, to say the least. And I think it's interesting because as a neurodivergent, we really understand like we're not good at small talk. Like you're good at
No.
talking about the weather, I'm good at talking about the weather, but
But giving stories behind it, not just like, "Oh, it's been so bad today. Can't believe it. When are we gonna get some," it's always like, I gave you, like, a full
you
breakdown of
gave
how
me
the
a
weather
whole
system
story.
works.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's it's funny because now that I know I'm neurodivergent, I'm able to pick up on who's neurodivergent with me when I'm out and about. So, like, when I go
Mhm.
like, I say when I go grocery shopping, you say when you go for a grocery shop. See, even that's
Yeah, I
different,
go
but
for a grocery
I
shop.
can usually tell the neurodivergence from the someone said the other day, and I'm not gonna tell you who, but I saw it. Someone said the neuroblands, the neurospices and the
You're
neuroblands.
bland. That's
Okay,
good. I
what
like
else
that. I
is on
like
your
that.
list?
I've got some more. I've got some more. Um, Quite good.
Okay, well, it must be fantastic. I gave you a meal, it's quite good, you must have loved it.
Okay, a bit disappointing is how we take it. It's quite good. It's not good. It's just quite good, so
So
it's a
when I
bit
was at
disappointing.
Wakelet, if I was doing a webinar and you told me it was quite good,
It was a
you
bit
really meant it was
disappointing.
bad. I
It was
was
disappointing.
disappointing. Wow,
Yes. Yeah. Um,
that's misleading too.
that is a very brave proposal.
Um, I'm out of my mind crazy and I might as well never talk about it again.
Nice. Yeah,
It's
that
because
is what we
see,
think.
it's because
Because
I have worked with,
you've worked with Brits
Brits for
before, men,
for
yeah.
over 6 years, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we think you're insane. Um,
And what was it again? That's
so
a
that is a brave proposal. Most people would think, he thinks I have courage, whereas British people say you're insane,
mhm, mhm, okay.
literally. Um, that's not bad.
That's not bad means it's probably a little bit of good.
Yeah, most people would take that as that's poor, whereas Brits say that's good. Um, what else we got?
Yeah, Jam would say, not bad," right? And I
Yeah,
would be like, "Wow, that sucked," then, but he really meant it as it's good.
yeah, yeah. Um, I was a bit disappointed that
Yeah, I love how you guys end things on that. Your sentence ends on the word "that," which is so like, so charming to hear you all say that. Um, it was a bit disappointing that it means that you're really actually heartbroken about it, and you don't wanna express how sad you
Yeah.
are.
So most people would take it as it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
British people, I'm annoyed by that.
Yeah. Yeah, say it again. Say it again.
I was a bit disappointed that.
Yeah.
Uh,
What about a bit of a
ooh.
nightmare? Is that the same? A bit of a
Um,
nightmare, and I
yeah,
was
frustrating. It's a bit of a
yeah.
nightmare. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
frustrating. It's frustrating that.
Okay, what's next?
Um, that's me saying that at the end
I know,
again.
I think
Bit annoying that. Um, I'll bear that. I'll bear it in mind.
This is not a fair game because I know what they mean, and so you'll bear it in mind. In American, typical American would be like, "Oh, good, they're gonna think about it." I
Mhm.
now know I'll bear it in mind means I heard what you said in one ear and it went out the other, and I'm never gonna speak about it
You've
again.
nailed it. I've forgotten
I
it
mean, I
already.
know. Yeah. Yeah,
I'll bear
yeah.
that in mind. I've
This
forgotten it
I'm really
already.
good at this is why I talk about I love working with Brits because I didn't know that I had this ability to translate through that, but it's like a natural thing that I just knew um right away.
Mhm.
Go ahead. What else?
Uh, I almost agree.
You don't actually. You don't agree and you're not ever going to. This
Yeah.
is the thing. You guys are really good at like it is this British polite niceness where
Mhm.
you are so British polite that you feel like you cannot say how you really feel about the thing. So
Yeah.
you have especially in British culture, I'm sure as a neurodivergent it's difficult to navigate these phrases and words because you're not really being authentic with what you're saying. You're just trying to not hurt the other person's feelings. And now we're both in a weird loop of communication.
Not necessarily, because at the same time, if Brits in general know what these things mean, so it's
So you're saying
essentially
it's just the
like
Americans and
it's a
Texans that
code.
come over.
Yeah,
It's a
basically,
code. You're
it's a
speaking in
code.
code.
Yeah,
But as a neurodivergent, you understand how harmful that can be, right? Like the
absolutely.
speaking in code.
Absolutely, and that's the thing when you've got people, especially those with autism, for example, they do
Mhm.
take things very literal, and think phrases like these can take things to like another level of learning for them that they've not
It's
even
exhausting.
comprehended because it's more of
Mhm.
a societal norm rather than a actual language barrier
Yeah.
way of
But
speaking.
think about it like, okay, there could be the cultural barrier, the language barrier, and then you could add on to that as a neurodivergent, that creates another barrier of
Another barrier, yeah.
communication. Mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll give you one more and then we'll
Okay.
move on. Let's just quickly see. I've got loads here, so I'm just kind of want to pick a good one.
Okay.
This one might resonate with you. I only have a few minor comments.
Your comments are not gonna be minor, they're gonna be major and probably hurt my feelings, and you probably have more than a few.
So most people would say he has found a few typos. A Brit means please rewrite completely.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
Cool. So yeah, so we've got some clear distinctions between what Brits say and what can be
Okay.
interpreted and what it actually means.
I want to give
What
you
do
some
you have?
American phrases. I have some
Go on.
American phrases. I don't even care anymore.
I
What does
think you
that mean?
literally don't care anymore.
I mean, when I say that, yeah, that's
Yeah.
literally what I mean. I don't care
Yeah.
anymore. And it's taken me a long time to get there. So if I'm saying it out loud to you,
You
we're not
know
going
exact
back.
yeah, yeah.
What about I need a minute? Like if do you guys ever say I need a
Oh,
minute?
give me a
Give me
minute.
a minute.
Give
Hmm.
me a
Do
minute.
you really mean a minute?
Mm,
No.
most times, no. No. A minute
What do
usually
you mean?
becomes 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
Just give
Let's
me a
see.
minute, and I'll be back in, like, 5. Or give me a sec, it means I'll be back in 2 or 3
So
minutes.
it's interesting because, like, I've actually your tone difference. So there's some tone differences here too. Like, often British style is understated, indirect. There's lots of dry humor, which I highly appreciate. I
Yes.
love
Yeah.
dry humor. There's softer disagreement, more emotionally strained, and a
Mhm.
lot of observation.
Yeah.
For Americans, we are emotionally expressive. We process out loud. Now, I process out loud because not just because I'm an American, but this is my neurodivergent. I've recognized that. I process out loud to myself all the time. So if you are in a relationship with me in any capacity, I'm processing out loud. The majority of people cannot handle that.
Yeah.
High energy wording for American
Mhm.
style, collaborative, and
Yeah.
we're emotion the majority of us are emotionally transparent. So
Mm.
saying, "I need clarity on this," or "This isn't working," or "I'm trying to figure this out," those are examples. We talked about the "you all right," quite good. When you say interesting, I say the word
Mm.
interesting
Interesting.
often. I am meaning that as curiosity.
Mhm.
You are taking it as potential criticism, which it is. I don't mean
Yes.
that. If I'm
Yeah.
talking to a
'Cause
Brit and I say that's interesting, it means I am reflective and curious about what
yeah.
you've just told me.
Which where for us, we're like, "Oh god, here we go. They're gonna absolutely rip it apart of, what I've just proposed."
Yeah. When we
Very
wrote the book,
critical.
and especially the podcast, like, we've learned I think you've learned when I say interesting, that isn't what I mean. There
Mm.
is no criticism in
I
that.
would say that's been one of the things that I've really tried to work a lot on without knowing it, because the amount of times you just said it kind of not gives me PTSD, but definitely gives me a sense of alertness, makes my nervous system kind of
But because of what you've experienced before,
spark a little
right?
bit. Yeah, because and I know that you've said that numerous times,
Mhm.
and I'm still
Right.
trying to adjust to that kind of way of, she said she's interested, you need to take it literal, not
I
in the
every
way that other people have
So
communicated and been
that is the other
critical.
thing. You're right. That's the other thing, and I think you've learned this about me. I am literal. If I say that I love you, and I don't love everybody. I'm publicly now saying that for the first time probably. I don't love everybody. So if
Mhm.
I've not said that I love you, I probably don't love you. If I say that I love how you work, I genuinely love how you work. If I say I
Yeah.
love your work and I love what you do, I genuinely mean that. And I think that's the other piece that plays into the communication piece. As educators, administrators, as parents, as really, I always talk, everything we talk about can be applicable to anybody in the world. If you're a human being, you want to keep in mind that if you're talking to a neurodivergent, they are communicating the way their brain works. And
Mhm.
and to not take offense,
Yeah.
because we are very clear. And I always say, to be clear is to be kind. But as you just demonstrated, the Brits don't really love to be clear.
True. True. We really don't.
Yeah, which is
We really
fascinating
don't.
to me because I love the Brits. And I think the
I
reason I
think you
love the Brits so much is because I can decode, like, I think of it as a pattern, and I think as a
Mhm.
neurodivergent, that is why I love it, because I'll have a conversation and I will just be fascinated by what they're telling me, and as they're telling me words and phrases, I already know what they mean, so I know how to come back to them, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why I love them so much. With Americans, for a neurodivergent, sometimes it's harder to communicate with Americans because
Is it though?
they well, they too aren't always telling you the full story. Again, you came back to societal norms.
Mm.
There are so many silent societal norms in America. And I think you experienced that when you come here. Like, when you were here last year, just ordering a burger at a fast food restaurant, there are norms that you're having to adjust to in
I
that very quick interaction.
I think the biggest thing for, norms in the US, that I'm still trying to comprehend is going to a coffee shop.
Okay. Talk to me about that.
Because my goodness, I've never had more of a headache trying to understand what things mean. And I think
I feel that way
I
too
I
in the
I go
UK.
I go in, but
Full
how?
fat. I'm like, "What? Full fat? What?" This I always laugh at Napoleon Dynamite because he tells did you finish watching it? That
Yes, I
girl,
did.
he
I did.
tells her, you could have a full fat if you wanted to," or something like that. It's the same thing when I go to the UK, though. Just ordering a coffee feels super overwhelming to me.
How?
Well,
How
because I know, first of all, that you are not making your coffee the way that we make it here. And it's also like scalding hot. So then I'm like, I want this coffee and I would really love to drink it, but I can't even.
right, just for clarification, she's saying about a scalding hot coffee because she went to Nero,
Mm-hmm.
which are renowned for making
For
really hot
scalding
coffees,
hot coffee.
but not
Yeah.
at Starbucks or
And
even
not at what's the
Costa.
other one? Costa. I love
Yeah,
Costa,
yeah.
actually.
That one clearly is your favorite. But
But
the
also
the
ordering at a coffee shop. They'll ask me if I'm all right.
yeah,
And then
because
you get
that's normal. But
asked,
that's not ordering from the menu.
what do you
Because
mean?
what I'm meaning is when I go into a coffee shop in the UK, there
Mm.
is just a set menu. We have all the hot drinks, all the sizes, and then all the cold drinks and the sizes. And that's it. It's the fact I went into Starbucks was like, I know exactly what I'm going for. I'm going for my usual caramel macchiato, uh, medium, whatever size that is in Starbucks. And the lady confused me immediately because she turned around and said, "Do you want that hot or cold?" And I'm looking at her like, "What other version is that? I only want
Hot,
hot.
cold,
How is
frozen.
what's what's the difference between cold and frozen?
It's
Like,
it's a frappuccino, and then the cold is on ice, and then the hot is obviously in a cup that is hot.
do you understand why I get confused? Because we just have hot. That is it. And
I know, and
you've
that is
gone
what's
and
confusing to
created
me.
two other versions.
Well, that's just how
At
we do
least you
things
can go
here.
in
I
and
don't
say,
know.
like, I want this, and then they can just turn around and say, oh, we don't do that. And you're like, oh, okay. Whereas they just throw more questions out. When I was at
Yeah.
Summer Moon,
Okay, summer
Moon
moon.
Milk,
Summer moon
that
coffee is
confused.
so good. But
I'm asking for a
moon milk,
cappuccino, and then I'm
moon
asked,
milk is
do
the
I want moon
cream.
milk?
Yeah, it's like the whole fat.
This is another thing that I actually find really, really confusing when it comes to American English and British English.
Okay, what?
What goes into a coffee?
It depends on what you're getting, but we'll just do the basics.
A
You've
basic
got
coffee.
your espresso,
Yeah,
and then you have your milk. So that would
yeah,
be whole milk, half milk, oat
yeah.
milk, almond
Why
milk.
do I have to say cream and sugar?
Because if you want that in there, there's different ways to sweeten it. So you've got honey, you've got syrup, you've got regular sugar.
No, but when I go for it, when I just go and I'll have a coffee, and they say,
Like
"Would
at
you
a
like
like at an
cream and milk?"
IHOP, would you like
Yeah,
cream
a
and
diner or
sugar?
what? Cream and sugar.
Yeah.
No, I want milk and sugar.
Well, so there's milk and then there's also cream, right? The like whipping cream, like cream.
But when I've asked for cream, they bring me a jug of milk, and I'm looking at it
Well,
like,
because
this is
they're
milk.
giving you them because
This is
because they're
milk.
not
Why
because
are
they're
you?
not they're not telling you they don't have cream. We have milk. They've not told you that. So see,
But
again,
why
a
did they
breakdown
call
in
it cream?
communication.
Why didn't they call it milk? Like it actually is.
I can't now.
So
We got to move on. This part's
these are the
making me laugh.
confusing parts of being. If you have a Brit in America and an American in England, it just adds more and more confusion.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well,
yeah,
you also say, here's
your
some
coffee
other
shops
things you guys
overwhelm
say.
me. Basically,
Oh, well, yours overwhelm me, but there are
we
some good ones out
simplified
there.
it.
Shout out to Costa. Here are some good phrases that I've actually now adopted. um, so off you pop.
Yep, off you pop.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. I know exactly what it means. Like if I say fair enough, and if I say fair enough, I literally mean that's a fair point. If
Uh-huh.
you say fair enough as a Brit, it actually means I don't know what else to say. So I'm going to fill the air and space with this phrase, fair enough.
Yeah, it's like a filler, like, okay. Okay.
Yeah, which is crazy to me. We've
Yeah,
already talked about
I have no opinion.
bit of a nightmare. We've already talked about. You are right. No worries. Now, if
Yeah,
I
no
say no
worries.
worries, let's pretend like we had a podcast that we're going to record, and then you say, Tish, I can't record it. And I'm like, no worries. That's
Mhm.
actually a level of relief for me as a neurodivergent because I'm like, oh my God, I get free time now, right? No worries. But do the Brits mean no worries, literally? Or are they worrying?
Um, Usually when I've said no worries, someone comes to me with a what
They
they
worry?
might think is a worry, and I'm like, "Oh, no worries." And it's
Yeah.
like relief for them of like,
Yeah.
"Oh, crikey,
Relief.
I didn't think it was gonna I thought it was gonna be a problem, and I've been told that it's not a problem, so I'm happy now."
You've also said this is one of my favorite ones. You say, bless your cotton
I
socks.
knew you were gonna say that one.
How did you know?
Because I was literally
It's
like, it came to me on the second one that you said, and I was like, "Ooh, bless your cotton socks." And then you started laughing, and you said that I use this, and I was just like,
it's
"It's
my
bless
favorite
your
one, and
cotton
the
socks."
very first time you ever said it to
Oh,
me,
bless your cotton
this is
socks.
this is what I imagine. When you say that, and like the first time, I imagine suddenly I'm a bunny with my feet are like my body is brown, but my feet are white, like little socks. But I need to understand because at first, when you said, bless your cotton socks, I was like, why is he talking to me like I'm a child? Like, I feel like he's pitying me, and that is not what I want. Right. So, how do you mean that phrase, bless your cotton socks?
So it's like a form of playfulness, softness, gratitude. So I did actually just Google it, and it
Yeah.
states a playful British idiom used to
Mm,
express gratitude, endearment, or gentle sympathy
mm,
is
hmm.
bless your cotton socks.
You also say, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon.
What does that mean? Yes. Or does it mean I'll think about it? I reckon.
Yeah, it's a think about it. It's like it's
How do the
like
Brits say yes?
I get where you're coming from, but I'm not 100% there yet, so I need to get some more convinced
When you're
approaches.
100% there and you agree
Yes,
with something as a Brit, what do you say?
absolutely.
Does everybody say that or is it
No,
just you?
I'd use that as I definitely say if I'm in 100% agreement, I will say absolutely.
Okay, well what
Absolutely.
about the general British population?
General British population will probably say yes or I agree.
Okay, interesting.
And they'll say yes in a very enthusiastic way.
Mm, mhm. The other one I remember I learned right immediately when I started working at Wakelet was let me add it to my diary. And I remember being like, "Oh my God, you keep a diary?" Like you journal all the
Do you not have like a calendar diary?
We talk about it. We say calendar. Let me add that to my calendar. Let me
I've
add
never
that.
said,
Yeah.
let me add
Let
it
me
to my
add it to my
diary as like,
schedule.
oh no,
But
yeah, diary
when
or
you all first
calendar.
said it, I was at the beginning, I was like, man, they do a lot of journaling.
Into On Monday, I got to do these things, and Tisha asked me to add these things to my schedule, and I was deciding whether to do it or not. That's what
Um,
Tisha's just imagining, and there's us Brits going, yeah, so 4 o'clock. Yeah,
yeah, you're
let
like,
me,
pop it in
right.
the diary. I'm like,
Meeting
pop
with
it.
Tish, 4 o'clock. It's in my
It's
diary
just
now.
so funny. Yeah. Do you call the flashlight a flashlight, like the flashlight, or do
A
you call it a
torch.
torch?
Torch.
What?
It's a
I
torch.
mean, no,
It's called a torch.
I feel like you're gonna burn something. That is not what's happening with the flashlight. That's great. See?
But the thing is,
Um,
it's not a flashlight, it's a light. You're not gonna just flash it, are you? It
I'm
y
not gonna torch anything with it either. So, I don't think this is appropriate. Let's see, what else? I'm just looking. You guys say queue, we say line, you say
Yeah,
lift, we say elevator, you
yeah,
say rubbish. I call my trash the rubbish in the bins now,
good,
naturally, or the
good.
pavement.
Yeah,
Good.
pavement instead of sideways. Sideways,
Yeah,
sidewalks.
sidewalks. Anyway, that's so interesting. This is such an interesting conversation. Do you have anything else you would like to share?
Um, Let me have a look at my plethora of information. I mean, one thing that you mentioned was British humor and American humor. Like,
Oh,
it's
okay. Yeah.
so. I
Different.
definitely find that British humor is very radical, but as in a way, a lot of times very subtle.
Yeah.
So, like, if you were to look at British comedy, um, like you've got Monty Python, for example,
Mm,
very extreme kind of
mhm.
over the top approaches to humor. But then you go into like like the sketch shows that we do.
Mhm.
There's a classic one of the two Ronnies, which
Mhm.
is so funny. Where a guy, if you ever see it, it's a guy walks into a shop. It's one of the most iconic sketches that they ever did, and the customer asks for four candles,
Okay.
and the person behind the counter goes and picks up four candles,
Yes.
and he literally says, "No, I'm not after four candles. I'm after fork handles." And it literally goes into a spin of different things like that. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
subtle humor that you get. But one of the things that I do find very amusing, and I know we've gone into a little bit of a tangent from communication a little bit with the way that humor's expressed in between the two countries. But one of the things that I didn't realize is we have what I would assume Americans would call rather offensive cards that you would give to someone for like a birthday or an anniversary or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
Like we're very vulgar,
Mm.
very inappropriate. Like
Which is so
we might have
interesting
a
because you're
picture
so
of a
polite.
yeah, but when it comes to cards, we're
Humor.
very humorous in that. Where like um I'm trying to
Like for
remember.
card.
I was literally I went into a card shop last weekend because it's my dad's birthday coming up, but by this
Mhm.
time it'll have already gone past. But so happy birthday to my dad, 78.
Happy
Um,
birthday.
Living it up in Morocco right now.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's like there'll be a picture of a gorilla giving the finger, or
Mhm.
some of them I literally cannot say on the podcast because
On
it's
the podcast. Yeah. Yeah.
so offensive. But they'll take the mick of like when obviously as you get older, certain things hang further,
Don't you
and there will
think
be
British
comedy.
humor
There'll be sketches. There'll be like the newspaper sketches, comic book
Mhm.
sketches, those kind
Mhm.
of things will be
Mhm.
on the front cover and
Mhm.
explaining that story. And it's just
Mhm.
even like you thought I on your birthday you thought I'd be getting you a present, but all you got was this lousy card, and that's
Mhm.
all that's written on the card with nothing
Mhm.
inside.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just
And there's American cards like that. I think the biggest difference is that British humor will often hide emotion,
hmm
and American humor releases emotion. I think that's a lot of the difference is
yes,
that I think that's where it is.
you put it on plain
Usually
sight
mhm,
a lot of the
you
time.
are very much self-deprecating in your humor, right?
hmm
Like making fun of yourselves or the
Yeah,
awkwardness or the failures.
yeah,
Um And I also think that, like, the sarcasm levels are a little bit different where you guys are y'all do, like, deadpan delivery or,
yeah,
like, fake seriousness, and then
yes,
for Americans, it's like there's more exaggeration and the jokes, the signals are more clear. It's
Yeah.
very clear.
Yeah, you kind of like
Um,
hand it on you hand it over on a plate kind of thing, whereas Brits like to give you a plate with nothing on it and then bring something from the side.
yeah, yeah. I think that's what I love, about the Brits' deadpan delivery. I do like Monty Python. I do watch a lot of British TV, and it always makes me laugh. But I have told you before in some of the things I've watched, I'm like, that's so toxic. You all are watching this like play out, and you think it's hilarious, and I'm like, that's the most toxic thing I've ever seen in my whole life. I don't
It's
understand why we're
true.
laughing about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
It is amusing.
I think it's interesting. I think this is it is really, we just want to point out and remind all of you listening or watching that communication it can be so easily misconstrued, and it
Mhm.
depends on who you're talking to. And I think, especially in this day and age, I see a lot of assumptions happening either in real conversations, like live conversations, or on social media with videos and posts. And I think it's really important to get curious about what you're even saying. So rather than be
Mhm.
curious about the other person, before you ever get curious about what they're saying, really reflect on how you're delivering it. How is it coming across? And I think, as a neurodivergent, it's something that you and I talk a lot about. We have probably more conversations than normal podcast hosts, because we are trying to clarify what the other one means in
Yes.
order to decrease any conflict, because it's easy to assume that the person that you're talking to means the same thing you do, but they oftentimes don't.
Yeah.
So,
It's a curiosity versus the assumption.
mhm,
We
yeah,
know that
exactly.
curiosity for us, with the way that we think and how we've worked through the years, like we've had so much confusion so many times,
It is, it's kind of
and
like I could call you
we
and be like,
laugh now.
I've had the worst day of my life," and you can respond, "Well, that's unfortunate."
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's a great example of
Yeah.
how it is. They both mean emotional devastation, but the way you say it to me, I think you don't care, and I'm like, "Well, great, like, nobody really understands
Well,
then."
yeah, I mean, if we were to take that kind of context, I mean, one of the things I would probably say is, "Well, it could have been worse."
And I'd be mad about that, because 'cause I'd be
Yeah,
like,
you then
"Actually."
your anger would have gone from, "I've had the worst day," to, "How dare you?"
Yeah, now I wanna fight you.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
But yeah,
exactly
it
right.
does go back with the curiosity versus the assumption. I mean, I've definitely been on in that boat of assuming things
Yep,
too frequently. We all have,
yep,
and being open and curious and teaching others to be curious of these things, and not just jumping to assumptions and conclusions. It definitely breaks the
right.
language barriers that we have in place that aren't just around different language. We can all have
Exactly.
the same language. We can all have the same culture, but there can be just some misunderstandings of what's actually been said. Even expressions, even emotions can be misinterpreted. And
Yep.
by asking questions, asking for some form of clarification and confirming,
Mhm.
even if it's you, like we have this exercise of Tish will explain something to me, and I will say, "Yep, yep, okay, fair enough." All the usual cues, and
Correct
she will turn
cues.
around to me and just basically say, "Okay, repeat back to me what I just said, just so I'm understanding that you've understood what I'm meaning and where I'm
Yeah,
coming from."
yeah.
And it's just little exercises like that that can help build that understanding. And if there's things that are misunderstood, you can go back to them and describe them in a different way or a bit more detailed way to make sure that they come across right. Because that's something that Tisha taught me many times with doing presentations in the US. I can easily just go into British mode straight away and start explaining all these things in British language. And the audience is looking at me going, what on earth is he talking about? Because this makes no sense.
Mhm.
So, and I can do the same for Tish, but she just brings her American enthusiasm and Brits just fall in love with it straight away without even thinking anything.
This has been a great conversation, and I think really the CTA for anybody listening is just to get curious about communication and remember that the way that you communicate is not the way that everybody communicates. Really go
Exactly.
into all of your conversations that way. So,
Mm.
thanks, Rick, for this conversation. Great
Yeah.
episode,
Thank
and
you. Thank you for going through the language barriers with me. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this episode and you've made it this far, please give it a thumbs up, but give us a follow, subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And until next week, we'll see you then. Bye for now.
bye.